Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're doing a deep dive into the political roadmap proposed by One Nation leader Pauline Hanson. Recently, she sat down for a really comprehensive, wide-ranging interview on Sky News Australia, and she basically outlined exactly what she'd do if she were handed the keys to the Prime Minister's office. Now, our goal today isn't to take sides or debate the politics. Instead, we're just here to break down the primary source material, unpack the data, and get a clear, neutral look at the exact policy roadmap she's pitching to Australian voters. Okay, let's jump right in. Right out of the gate, it's clear Hanson is heading into the upcoming political cycle with a ton of confidence. I mean, she actually claims, "We are the most popular party in Australia now. He knows he's in trouble. The writing's on the wall." Now, that's a direct shot at Prime Minister Anthony Albanese, and it really sets the psychological stage for everything we're about to cover. She isn't presenting her agenda as just some fringe alternative. She's presenting it as a government in waiting. Because she covered so much ground in this interview, we've organized her commentary into four main buckets: election timing and predictions, migration and energy policies, restructuring welfare and spending, and finally, party loyalty and institutions. Structuring it this way is really going to help us visualize the sheer scale of the government overhaul she's proposing. All right, kicking things off with Section 1, election timing and predictions. Interestingly, Hanson actually doesn't think the current government is going to last its full term. Her prediction? Next year, Labor is going to deliver a softer budget to kind of appease voters, which she says will be swiftly followed by an early federal election being called around October or November. And what if Prime Minister Albanese loses? Well, she claims he wouldn't even stick around to fight. Instead, she suggests he'd happily just walk away from politics entirely to live on his lifetime parliamentary pension, complete with a car and an office. So she's definitely painting this picture of a current government that's feeling the heat, especially the backbenchers who she reckons are terrified of losing their seats. Moving right along to Section 2, migration and energy policies. 130,000. According to Hanson, that's the number of homeless people in Australia right now, and she uses this really stark figure as her primary justification to just completely halt mass migration. Her argument here is pretty simple. The country needs time to recalibrate. Basically, we need to secure housing for the 130,000 Australians who are currently without it before we allow any more people into the country. It's a very direct cause and effect argument she's making, directly linking border policy to the domestic housing market. And right on the heels of that is another absolutely staggering number, $30 billion. That is the amount Hanson claims she would save taxpayers every single year just by shutting down the climate change department entirely. She genuinely views the current net zero agenda as actively destructive to the nation, and pulling back this massive $30 billion savings is a huge central part of her economic pitch. So how exactly would she pivot the energy sector? Well, she lays out a three-step strategy. First up, an immediate halt to all net zero initiatives, specifically stopping the rollout of wind turbines and solar panels. Secondly, and this is a pretty crucial detail, she acknowledges that breaking these agreements is going to cost money, but she says she's perfectly willing to pay out those existing renewable contracts just to get rid of them. And finally, step 3, she wants to restart the coal-fired power stations. The whole mini narrative she's building here is laser-focused on the consumer. Her claim is that stopping renewables and going back to coal is the most direct way to bring down skyrocketing power prices for everyday Australians. All right, that brings us to Section 3, restructuring welfare and spending. Here's where she presents a really fascinating two-pronged approach to welfare. On one hand, for age pensioners, she wants to offer massive support. She's talking about allowing them to work unlimited hours and pay standard income taxes without it negatively affecting their pension payouts or their healthcare cards at all. But when it comes to the unemployed or wealthy parents, well, she wants a dramatic crackdown. She strongly critiques what she calls 5 generations of families treating welfare as a lifestyle entitlement. For instance, she specifically takes aim at free childcare, saying it should be strictly capped at 20 hours a week. Her argument is that taxpayers shouldn't be subsidizing wealthy parents who just want to sleep in, or unemployed folks who, in her words, expect others to pay to look after their kids. Now, what's really interesting here is how she systematically connects both domestic and foreign spending into this broader narrative of absolute government waste. For example, she wants a complete overhaul and audit of what she terms the Aboriginal industry, pointing to a specific $10 million government payout for trauma following the defeated Voice referendum. Then she goes after foreign aid, basically asking why $600 million was sent to Papua New Guinea for football or $30 million to the Pacific for fuel problems when everyday Australians are struggling. Finally, she takes aim at the public service, claiming the government workforce has just ballooned to 216,000 people. Her fix? Slash the regulations, and she argues we simply won't need that many public servants, especially the ones earning those massive salaries.
And finally, we hit section 4, party loyalty and institutions. 500. That's the number of people who have officially expressed interest in running as One Nation candidates for the next election. Hanson uses this number to show how her party has completely transformed, from a small operation with no office and barely any membership a decade ago, to what she sees as a highly organized machine today. But more importantly, she explicitly says she has zero interest in accepting defectors from the Liberal or Labour parties. She basically views them as opportunists just trying to save their own seats. Instead, she wants to pull all her candidates from this grassroots pool of 1,500 everyday Australians. We're talking barristers, doctors, and tradies.
This next bit really illustrates her strict ideological lines. During the interview, Hanson was actually pressed about a new One Nation MP, David Farley, who reportedly wanted to fly Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander flags alongside the Australian flag. Well, Hanson was totally uncompromising on this. She stated she spoke to him directly to ensure he represents one flag and one flag only. Under her leadership, she makes it crystal clear there will only be the Australian flag on the floor of Parliament. Plus, she intends to completely abolish welcome to country ceremonies, arguing that they just divide the nation. To round out her agenda, Hanson outlines some sweeping cuts to major institutions. We're talking completely defunding ABC television. She suggests their programs should just be subsidized directly by the viewers who actually watch them, maintaining government funding only for the ABC's rural and regional radio. Next, she plans to entirely abolish the Sex Discrimination Commission, specifically calling out the fact that its commissioner earns a staggering $400,000 annual salary. And finally, she points to the National Disability Insurance Scheme, the NDIS, stating it is completely out of control and needs to be severely reined in. I mean, the sheer breadth of this institutional restructuring is just immense. So, what does this all mean? We've just unpacked a roadmap that touches literally almost every single facet of the Australian government. From entirely dismantling climate initiatives and halting mass migration, to radically restructuring welfare, defunding major institutions like the ABC, and strictly enforcing a one-flag party ideology, it is a massive, uncompromising agenda. Which leaves us with a final, really provocative question. Will this platform of sweeping cuts and institutional overhaul actually be enough to reshape the next federal election? Will voters gravitate toward this level of systemic change, or is it just going to prove too disruptive? It's definitely going to be a fascinating political landscape to watch. Thanks for joining me on this explainer, and keep learning.